In this handy to transport bag, I have my pedal board, which I've made for under 40 bucks. G'day YouTubers, Pro Muso here, back with another video. Today, I'm gonna be showing you how to make a pedal board. Stick around. So what's the first thing we want to consider when having a pedal board? Well, it's real estate. We need to make sure it's not too big on the stage, and we also need to be able to transport it in our vehicles easily so it's not too long. So first thing you want to do is you want to get yourself a bag with the dimensions that you're comfortable using. So I just bought this random bag that I thought would be the right size on a music site, and it is 70 centimeters by 40 centimeters. For you Americans, that's about 28 inches by 16 inches. So that's about the size that I reckon is a pretty good size. Now that's probably like a medium size for a pedal board, but I'm gonna double it over. So it's gonna be twice the length, and I'm gonna show you how I do it. So here's the board. Here's the board that I've got. Now it's an old board because I've been using it for a couple of years now. This is the kind of size that will fit in the bag. But if we look at it, it's now almost double that size, right? That I can pack it away. I just fold it in half. Okay, so quick rundown in what I have is I have a volume swell here that looks like a wah pedal, and I have my VLX3 that's essential. If you haven't seen my videos on the VLX3, go and check them out because it's your one-stop shop, especially for a soloist. So I've got the VLX3 and my volume taking up half of it, and on the other half I've got my power supply, I've got an equalizer, I've got a booster, I've got a tuner, and I've got a wah pedal. I've also got a regular 24 volt power supply connected to that as well. So that's on the other side. So you guys will obviously have different kinds of effects on yours, but just so you know what I'm working with, that's what I've got. Okay, so where do we start? Now we start with getting, I don't know if you can see this, but this here is a piece of plywood, right? It's very thin, as you can see, but it's very strong. So you want to get a piece of plywood that's just a few mil thick, but strong enough that it's going to hold, and you'll be able to feel it, right? So what I did was bought a big long piece of it, and I cut it specifically to size for both sides, and then I simply got some black paint and I spray painted it, right? Waited till it dried, came back, and then I bought myself some really strong Velcro tape. Now you gotta get the real heavy duty stuff because this Velcro tape is going to be holding the weight of all your boards, right? And this is where we're going to basically cut it in half. So some really strong Velcro tape. So for this section, the tape is not actually used for sticking to anything. It's just because it's flexible, right? So really heavy duty Velcro. We need to join the two boards. Now what you got to remember is to leave enough gap between the two boards so it can cleanly fold over on top of itself. You'll just have to adjust that. What have I got here? I've got about 1 inch gap between the two. Now what I did is I used some really strong glue, and I'm not sure about America or other countries, but Araldite is the go-to strong glue here in Australia. It sticks like shit to a blanket. It's very, very strong. So just using the adhesive on the back of the Velcro is not going to be strong enough. So I use the Araldite, and this is not like a super glue. This is, you've got to set it overnight, and that's really what gives it its strength, okay? So set it overnight, and then you've got your two pieces of plywood that are joined. So for the effects, I just use regular gaffer tape, right, to stick to the boards. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. You can sort of put them wherever you want and then join your patch cables through from your power supply. And an important thing is to is to get as much plugged in as you can. I mean, there's a daisy chain going through here, so we want to get as much plugged in so we don't have to keep plugging them in at gigs, and there's only a couple of things to plug in at gigs when you roll it out. So with all the power cables, I'll use really strong gaffer tape. It's got to be strong because gaffer doesn't really last long. So use the strong gaffer to put all these patch cables and patch them down onto the board itself. Now, the most expensive part of this board has been the heavy duty Velcro. I mean, the board itself was cheaper than the Velcro. I mean, it's a really, really cheap way to make a pedal board. And then once you've got them all on, we just fold them over so the back of the boards are chock up against each other. Perfect for putting into your bag. It's a good idea to have a bit of a padded bag as well, because you don't want all these buttons sitting on a hard surface, but there are plenty of padded bags around. And we just whack them into the bag, zip them up, and there's our pedal board. Don't even need a hard case. I've even got a perfect little pouch here for my iPads that I use. All right, so keep everything together. Now, pedal boards is a pretty big industry. I mean, people really like to have a fancy pedal board, but I really think it's an unnecessary cost. For one, they sit about this high, okay? Now, the problem with pedal boards being that high is that you can't get your microphone stand in very close. But with this one, with it sitting this far off the ground, where the binder is, I just slide my microphone leg into the very middle of it, and I can get my microphone that much further in toward my face, because I sit when I play, so I don't want the microphone being too far out there. So that's another example of having a very flat pedal board. But what's the main advantage? Cost. It's so cheap to make. And I've been using this pedal board for about 2 years now, and I don't know why I didn't do it before. I would search online, and I wanted to get a decent pedal board, but I kept measuring the sizes, and the size is too big, and it's going to take up too much room, until I thought, stuff it, I'm going to just try and make a custom one myself. And while it's, maybe crude looking, I don't care who looks at your pedal board when you're playing. But I'm a very practical person, so I don't care about having a really good car. I'd rather have a very practical car. So if you're practical like me, save yourself some money and make yourself a pedal board like I've shown you. So that's going to do it, guys. A short one today, but I just wanted to share that with you because it's helped me a lot practically, logistically, in my setting up and packing down and just making that more efficient. If you got something out of it, give me a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And until next time, I'm out.